I decided to kick my husband out after he decided that he wanted to go see and comfort his ex-girlfriend. So my husband and I have been married for 3 years. I mean, we have our ups and downs, but for the most part, I would say we're a happy couple. Here's the thing though, in the beginning of our relationship 5 years ago, he was dating this girl named Angela, who's about 8 years younger than I am. I knew nothing about Angela. When I did find out, I did confront him, and he told me that he didn't think we were serious. So he didn't think we were supposed to be exclusive to one another. I told him that he needed to cut things off or I was just going to walk out. Of course, I told him that if he did not cut off the relationship with this female, then I wanted to break things off because I'm not going to be with someone that's going to be in another relationship. We left it at that. We didn't talk for a while, and then a couple weeks later, after we actually talked, he decided that he wanted to be back in a relationship with me. He apologized and said that he broke up the relationship with Angela and that if I wanted to be his girlfriend. Ever since then, we have been a pretty normal couple, I would say. Like, I do believe he's my soulmate, but there is just one issue in our marriage, and it's Angela. Again. So 3 weeks ago, my man and I were out running errands, and we just stopped at a local boba shop that's right next to our grocery store. And as we were looking at the menu, I just look at the corner of my eye and I see this female that looks just like Angela. I felt an intense amount of dread just hoping that my man was not able to see her, but then all of a sudden I hear her voice calling out my man's name. Of course, my husband, he turns to see her and they have a small but awkward conversation, I would say. I was just trying to look around, just making sure that I did not make any eye contact with this female. She then proceeds to ask my husband if I'm his wife, even though she sees us holding fucking hands, you know what I mean? Like, how would you not know? But anyways, all my husband did was just nod. He just nodded, that was it. I pretty much just smile and I'm praying that this encounter just ends very fast because it is so fucking awkward. So as soon as they call for us to get our drinks, I grab them and I'm telling my husband, let's go. So that was that until about 2 weeks ago when my man's phone started lighting up. When I look at the actual screen, it's Facebook Messenger. And I asked him, who's messaging you? You know, I'm just curious. And then he's like, oh, it's just a friend. And I'm like, what friend? And he's like, oh, you wouldn't know them. I did become suspicious, but I was not necessarily worried because if my husband is telling me that it's a friend, I am going to trust him, you know? But then, a few days after that, I was ordering off of his phone because my phone was charging, so it was dead, okay? And then all of a sudden, I see that another Facebook Messenger little thingy icon pops up, and it's Angela. And I'm like, what the fuck? I am not gonna lie, I did go through his phone and I noticed that their conversations were like casual. It wasn't anything inappropriate, but because of their history, of course I was very worried at this point. After confronting my husband, all he told me was that she friended him after we ran into each other at the boba shop, but that it was pretty much nothing, it was just a casual conversation. I told him I was uncomfortable with them speaking and I wanted him to stop. And so he said that was fine, and then I asked him, please unfriend her from Facebook. And he hesitated at first, but then he actually did do it. After that, there was no word, no messages from Angela until last night, because apparently she had messaged my husband telling him that she really needed him. Apparently her mom was sick, and because my husband had sympathy for them, he decided that he wanted to help her. I guess she had asked my husband if he could go over and be with her, and he had said yes. I knew nothing until I saw my husband putting his shoes on. And when I asked him, he actually flat out told me what was going on with Angela. I had a small argument right after I told him not to go, and then all of a sudden he was trying to rush past me to go be with Angela, and I was trying to block him to tell him, if you go, then we're done. You're not allowed to come back in this house. He literally pushed right past me. He got in his car and he left. So I just went inside and I went to go pour a few drinks. I started drinking because I did not want to fucking cry and blow up his phone. Eventually, after 3 hours, he came back home just thinking that it was going to be fine and dandy. At this point, I was sitting on the couch. And so I told him, you are not allowed to sleep here. He was shocked. He was just staring at me, telling me that he didn't really have anywhere to go. And I told him, why don't you go to Angela's? He did leave and I haven't heard from him since.